Shabbat Shalom, YouTube. Well, it's after Shabbat, but still. Um, I guess I want to talk about something real quick. It's been a while since I actually did a video where I was talking. But this issue is really beginning to get on my nerves. Um, and silence is consent, and there are some things I can't keep consenting to. Not that I'm anybody special, but I think each one should try to reach one. So I guess this video is about black men and black women here on YouTube. Now, I don't understand the psychology of ranting and raving against the media and their perception of black males and black females in regards to one another, but getting on YouTube and personifying those stereotypes. It makes no sense. Does anybody else get tired of living in circles or in cycles, or is it just me? Now, I understand there are many problems between black men and black women. Being a black man, I completely understand that. However, just kind of as a PSA, it doesn't make any sense to get on a internationally used website and bashing one another in the way that I'm seeing on YouTube. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, I understand that for some people, a medium like YouTube is the only place that anybody's ever going to pay them any attention. And they've been conditioned, programmed to, and I guess this is just kind of how the world is programmed, to react to shock value. So they know that if they're going to make a video, they'll get more attention by saying the most ignorant things to shock people into watching and forwarding it around, and hopefully getting people to argue with them. And thus they get the attention they so desperately crave. Now, for a person like me who would like to see unity in the black community, I find this to be folly. And ignorance could only, hold sway for so long, hopefully. If not for yourselves, do it for your kids. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to get on a site like this, try to be positive. I mean, I know, again, there are issues. I've had many conversations with females. I've had many conversations with males. And typically, I just get quiet because if I'm talking to a female, it invariably, somewhere in the conversation, wanders off into, well, it's the men's fault. And if I'm talking to a brother, invariably, it wanders off into, it's the female's fault. And then you have these other groups. I'm used to these conversations in secular arenas, but it's really just sad to see it in quote-unquote religious arenas. But, whatever. But, I mean, you have to think about the generations coming up, under us, who get on YouTube and see the older generations behaving in this manner and believing that this is how it's supposed to be. It's unthinkable, unfathomable that people get on YouTube for the entire world, all nationalities, to sit back, pop popcorn and say, well, I guess the media was right. I guess that the statistics were right. And at the same time, we get mad when we see those statistics and say, that's not right. That's not how we are. Can't have it both ways, people. You cannot fix a community until you fix yourself. So as a brother, or as a sister, you have to stop and look in the mirror and figure out, what have you done personally, honestly. You don't have to talk to anybody else about it. You don't have to acknowledge it to somebody else. But you need to acknowledge to yourself, what things have you done that have been detrimental to relationships, and how can you fix those things, instead of worrying about what the other group of people are doing. You can't fix a community without fixing yourself. And if you want to say, sit up here and say, well, I haven't done anything wrong, therein lies your first problem, pride. Because everybody has done something wrong. Everybody has at some point fit somewhere mentally or through actions into a stereotype, whether they were mad at somebody or whether they just felt justified or they just wanted to do it or they didn't know any better at the time. You got to let all that pride go. But this ignorance on YouTube, come on, people. I mean, if I were not black and I was sitting here watching some of this foolishness, all the things that people say about us, I would believe. Seriously, people. Get a grip.